Assalamualaikum. Hello, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to the joint webinar session between University of the Philippines, School of Library and Information Studies and the Faculty of Information Management, University Technology Bahry, Malaysia. Thank you to both Dean of the Faculty, Prof. Mary Grace and Prof. Suhaimi for the opportunity given. Today I would like to share some of my knowledge related to the web archiving, what it's all about and the initiative done by Malaysia. Web archiving was started on 1996 with the effort of several national library teams in Australia and Sweden with other Internet Archive Group members. In 2001, the Internet Archive launched the Wayback Machine, which it is a web-based tool that archives the entire World Wide Web. The consortium, known as International Internet Preservation (IIPC), was then established on 2003 with 12 participating institutions. Later, Archive8 had been launched in 2006. Till now, the effort and initiative on web-based archiving are expanding all over country in the world. For example, Singapore already established Web Archive Singapore, WAS, that showcases facets of Singapore life and it can be accessible publicly. Now we go to the web archiving overview. It is simply a process to make a copy of website. Start with identifying the URL and duplicating all web content together with its web architecture at particular point of time. This similar to web scraper. Web archiving normally use the web crawler tools that visit selected website, or we call it seed, on certain date and copying the content without neglecting the site originality. That archive content, known as snapshot, which highly recommended to conform with the quality preserved within ISO format. WAP file. Nowadays, the size of World Wide Web been measured by zettabyte, whereby so many websites, so many web applications, social media been created day to day, and some might be decayed due to technical discrepancy or unpopularity. But it could be contain beneficial content, so the role of web archiving is to archive whichever website we may think is valuable for future references. We go to look at several purposes of web archive. Web archive can be important to companies to secure intellectual property and capture their recognition broadcast in the web spheres. The web content that capture the value of national and cultural heritage and some website content might also important as evidence in court for jurisdiction process. All of this, it could be from online news, social media sites, or even other websites that are owned by others. Sooner or later, they might need to dedicate other content in their web server, or maybe we need to pay certain fee to access it from their archive server. This reason makes us crucial to have our own web archive repository. Let we go to more detail on Web Archive Implementation Guideline. Web Archive Life Cycles act as best practice framework applied by most group or practitioners in web archiving project. It consists of 4 circles, start with policy circle. Then the outer circle consists of vision and objectives, resources and workflow, access, use and reuse, preservation and risk management. Then the metadata circle exists in the middle between the outer and the inner circle. The inner circles of web archiving lifecycle then consist more practical stages, such as appraisal and selection of website theme or typology, scoping the depth and breadth of each website content to archive, the data capture stages to set the timeline of web archive, storage and organization on how web archive collection been kept for easy retrieval in the future, and lastly is the quality assurance and analysis stage. The right side figure is the simplified version of Web Archive Guide that been practicing in year 2020. To start with web archive implementation, there are already numerous web archive flow process that can be adaptable from the previous studies and practices. Such as these 2 examples, one came from the Malaysian National Archive, which are simple and easy to understand, whereby the next figure show more rigorous workflow that come from research-based study at the National Sanctuary Library. This detail of web selection workflow start from the selection of website address or URL, setting up metadata, preliminary analysis, harvesting, and continue until storing the web archive content. It also includes quality measurements such as quality check based on certain criteria and correction measure. Now we turn into web archive tools. One of the popular web archive tool or crawler is httrack. httrack is an early and free open source offline browser and crawler written in C and C++ programming language. Archive content can be stored arranged according to the folder system format. The archive content can be accessed back via web browser, as this tool will create one main page called index.html located in archive folder. This is an example of index.html page that acts as the main page in accessing the archive content folder via hyperlink. Another example of web archive tool that using more predominant data format to store its archive content is known as webrecorder.io. But since June 2020, it's been renamed as Conifer. Conifer able to archive and store the archive content in WARC archive format that's supported by ISO quality standard. Another simple version of web archive tool is WarcRate, which is a Chrome extension tool that simply can make a WARC file for the website to archive. However, in order to retrieve it back, it needs to be used WARC reader tools such as Whale. Whale also easy to use by anyone who wants to preserve and replay web pages. Now we go to the segment of Web Archive Initiative by Malaysia. MyGWA is an application that archives specifically on Malaysia government website to ensure the information content in the government website are accessible for future reference and research. Based on Malaysia National Archive Act 2003, Act number 629, it is compulsory for National Archive to treat government website content as national cultural and heritage collection. The slide shows specific flow process behind the MyGWA application. Next is the Malaysia Web Content Related in the Web Archive Collection of Library of Congress. The collection namely as Political Islam Web Archive and consists of 7 archive content. And this is the main page of MyGWA portal, which also can be accessible by the public. Here I also want to show some of Web Archive web-based repository project done by previous student in my COVID-19 pandemic last semester class. Each project need to archive as minimum 20 websites related to their chosen topic. The first project here related to archiving the art and craft story and news in Malaysia. The collection been arranging in tabular format and keep the details such as title, date archive and hyperlink to the specific web archive. The second one, the project team members choose the topic on archiving the yearly event of library in Malaysia, which is Reading Campaign Program. Here the collection been arranging by categorical division. The third sample project archive the news and website content related to the Malayan tiger, which is one of the most critically endangered species. So this web archive collected and portrayed in chronological year view. Come to the end of my knowledge sharing. Before end, there are a lot more web content need to be secure and preserved for our future generation. More effort to be done, especially we are in the information science field who value much the process of data till become knowledge. Here I share some of the research area related to the web archiving for us to explore. Thank you for your cooperation in listening the session.